herbicides applied, get burn downs applied. It's really challenging anymore. You kind of have to be aware of, areas that you could impact and homes you could impact, neighbors' crops that you can impact. So that's really challenging anymore. It just seems like we're dealing with more and more wind and you just have to work with it, be aware of, downwind and what impacts you might have from making those applications. So that was probably the biggest challenge in preparation for planting to start.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you either get 80-degree weather with 70-mile-an-hour winds or 30-degree weather and rain, but no wind, and it would actually be a good day outside.
That's it.
That's Brian Sharp, who farms near Taylorville in Christian County. And this planning report, I'm Leroy Clamola.
This past spring, thousands of farmers across the Central Corn Belt planted Whipple's hybrids on their farms. There was no public fanfare or social media hoopla, and they certainly didn't become TikTok famous, but they did become Whiffles famous. At Whiffles Hybrids, we celebrate our independent farmers who choose to keep their seed decision local and U.S. farm family owned. We can't promise 15 minutes of fame, but we're working on that extra 15 bushels an acre. Plant your independence with Whiffles Hybrids.
During this tough time in agriculture, I can save you thousands of dollars by rebuilding your existing planter instead of trading for a newer model. I'm Bryce Hennings, owner of Hennings Equipment Company, a precision planting premier dealer based in Assumption. Let my 13 years of experience in precision ag save you money as you face lower commodity prices. Let me service your planter, whether it's a general inspection, rebuild, or a technology upgrade. I can service your planter, whether it's still factory equipped or has any of today's modern upgrades. Find me online at henningseq.com. That's henningseq.com.
Imagine having more days of perfect weather, a combine that's more powerful, or even more soybean bushels per acre at harvest. With Revitec fungicide, you don't have to imagine that last one, because it's proven to deliver up to 9.5 more soybean bushels per acre than the competition. With results like that, it's easy to see why Revitec fungicide is the #1 recommended fungicide by soybean farmers. Visit Revitec.com and talk to your BASF retailer today. Always read and follow label directions.
WHOW Planting Reports are brought to you by our title sponsor, Apex Clean Energy, planting the seeds for a better future in Illinois. Whiffles Hybrids, your local Whiffles Hybrid seed dealer, and sponsor of our Whiffles Wednesday Reports. Farm Chevrolet Buick, where
You'll find the official truck of our planting reports, the 2025 Chevy Silverado, along with Peterson Insurance, AAK Mechanical, and Longview Community Bank, all in Clinton. Maroa Ag north of Maroa, the State Bank of Bement, in Bement, and Monticello. Hennings Equipment Company near Assumption, Jenner Precision at Fairbury, and the McLean County Farm Bureau.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Henry Kraft with University of Illinois Extension in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt counties in studio with us today. Good morning, Henry.
Good morning, Seth. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for making time for us. Good to have you in. And you were telling me before we got started, just a busy time of year for you. One of the things that has kind of maybe kept you busy away from the kids side of what you do is strategic planning. Let's start there today. What does that look like for Extension?
Absolutely. So Illinois Extension. So I think the last time I was talking about 4-H's new vision with Beyond Ready. Well, at the same time, Illinois Extension is also going through a strategic planning process as well. So we do this about every 10 years, and we just kind of go through and it's the same work, but we're just rebranding a little bit on how we're going about giving services to all of you folks.
Oh, so with that said, Henry, strategic planning, and I was asking you this before we got started. How does it work with like the extension being kind of a state level thing, but then like each local unit kind of, I guess, chartering its own path? What does that look like? How do you do that?
Yeah, so the strategic planning process is pretty in depth. So each county and also each unit. So a unit in Illinois Extension, a few years ago, we kind of condensed into units of 3 to 5 counties,
Mhm.
depending on where you are in the state. And so each county goes out and they do strategic interviews with community leaders in different areas of our strategic vision. So like economy, community, things like that, and they collect information at the county level. And so what we do is we condense those things, the information that we get from those interviews,
Mhm.
and we kind of send them in a very condensed form to the state or
Okay.
to the university. And what ends up happening is with that information, the unit or the county level creates our own plan of work. So what
Mhm.
we want to focus on, how we think we can make an impact, and what the people in our communities are telling us that they need from Illinois Extension.
Gotcha.
And so then from that, all the counties in the state compile all that information, and then the university or Illinois Extension makes up their plan for our overarching goals.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
so-
So when you bring the community together, do you, as a unit, do you kind of hone in on what DeWitt County, Macon, Piatt County residents had to say? And if so, has that process gone on at this point yet?
Yeah, absolutely. And so we're kind of in the middle of that process. So we started it in early April, and it's kind of going through August. But what we do is we do targeted interviews. And so a couple of your guests I have personally interviewed. So Kurt Homan with DCDC, definitely a conversation that we want to have.
Yeah, he's on next, actually, believe it or not.
Oh,
So
buddy, we'll have to tell him, hey, if I don't see him in the hallway.
for sure.
But yeah, we got to interview him, got to hear a lot about what DeWitt County is really finding identity and what they're have to offer to the community themselves. And then also some of those things, those challenges that maybe Illinois Extension can help out with.
Gotcha. So this is kind of just in the early stages, it sounds
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
of getting rolling. Sure.
Yeah.
So have you participated in like strategic planning like this at the extension level before?
Not before. So this is my first time for this at Illinois Extension. So it's been kind of fun because I talk to people. That's what I do. I love to do it. And so really getting some of that information, not only from Kurt, but I also interviewed the Blue Ridge entire administration. And so got to have a really great conversation about what challenges and praise or exciting things are happening with their parents and their students.
Yeah, sure. And given that you're in the schools, that's probably a must go to for you is, hey, what do the schools need? How can we meet you there type of thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so like not only is extension getting that, like all the departments within extension, but for me, I'm also picking out those key pieces for 4-H because we want to know, we don't want to just offer programs to offer programs. We want to offer something that's going to make an impact on people's lives.
Yeah. So this process is pretty instrumental then in kind of where you go next, I guess, as
Absolutely.
a unit. Sure.
Yeah,
Nice.
so then out of that, even I myself will create a plan of work for me. So all these interviews are just like a spider web. They're connected to everything at every level. So
Are you at liberty to say what has stood out about some of these conversations you've had to this point?
yeah, I think what I've heard a lot from DeWitt County especially is we have a lot to offer with our natural resources. And what people love about this community is, the hometown feel, small town, people know each other and it's good. They care about each other. And I think couple of the challenges that I think a lot of people, I think one in particular that people all know everywhere. If you've got kids, we have a challenge with daycare in all of our communities. And so people are struggling to figure out, what am I going to do? And sometimes they have to go out of county just to find childcare to go and work. And that's a big deal.
Oh, I was so thankful when that stage of life ended for us because it was such a challenge. It was such a challenge, and it was so costly at the same time, and not to say it wasn't worth the cost because we had some great people take care of our kids, but it was just one of those things. I totally see that challenge for sure. Interesting. I'm kind of curious how extension can help in that child care piece.
Well, and it's interesting because there are some things that we learn out of these strategic planning interviews that we might not be able to move the dial on. However, I mean, there are There are certain certifications that are offered to people who offer childcare on a daily basis. That extension is in the arena of education and also specializing in making sure people are prepared to go into certain fields. And so I think there are things that we could do in talking about how to prepare childcare providers, but also I think it comes down to partnerships and seeing, not reinventing the wheel, but who's doing good stuff and how can we jump on board to support. Maybe somebody's already doing those certification classes. Like last week, I was at the Cisco Center with the Illinois Department of Workforce Development, and they were offering a session for specifically Piatt County, but they also offer it here in DeWitt County, talking about what they're doing to prepare folks for careers. And so there might be a partnership there. We're always on the
this sounds like it's really valuable stuff for you then, and I mean you hear strategic planning so often, and one of the things that it gets said with all these plans is you want it to be something that kind of is working as you go along and doesn't become just a document collecting dust on a shelf, and so it sounds like extension really takes to heart what is put out there by the community and comes of all of this.
Well, and I'm kind of a data guy, so I kind of get excited about getting that information. So
sure, very good. Henry Kraft is with the University of Illinois Extension, our guest in studio here for this morning. Well, let's dive into Henry. What have you been working on with kids? What's been keeping you busy lately besides strategic planning?
Right. So Seth, we're always doing programs, and so I've been in the schools in Clinton and in Blue Ridge as well, working on Food Challenge. So that's kind of one of my baby programs. And we're talking about how to teach kids how to cook without recipes. I also do that with a homeschool group, and they did a phenomenal job this year as well. But got to pull together a group that had originated at Weldon Springs, and Miss Patty over there, who's the educator with the IDNR at Weldon Springs. I was like, all right, Miss Patty, let me keep that group together. And so we got to go on 12 weeks of just learning about how to cook and how to cook well. So that was one thing that's been really awesome. I also on Friday have a Welcome to the Real World program, which is, it's a culmination simulation for a program that's homegrown in the state of Illinois. And it is about career exploration and financial literacy. And so the 8th graders at Blue Ridge Junior High School are going to go through, and they're going to meet with community leaders who are going to guide them through a simulation. Like they're 25 years old and they just graduated from college, and they've got their first job, and they're going to go around and pay bills for a whole month. So it's kind of an eye-opening experience for them. So that's going to be really fun.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, for sure. How did you get connected with the DNR folks out there at Weldon Springs?
You know what? I'm a cold caller, Seth.
Oh,
so I was like, hey, Miss Patty, I know you're offering educational things out there. Is there anything we can do to partner up? Because, I sit in a desk a lot. And so any opportunity I get to go out with so we have a coordinator that does only outdoors things. So natural resources, environmental science, and he gets to go fishing all the time with kids. And I was like, listen, I sit at a desk all the time and I love to fish. So let me see if I can work with Miss Patty and maybe we can do some fishing. So that's kind of the cool thing about 4-H is you get to do a lot of fun stuff. And so, so yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Well, that's one of the many things that I'm sure you're working on. Let's take a break here, Henry. Come back with some more, highlight some of those others. In the meantime, where do folks go to learn about whether it's your programs or extension in general? How do they learn more about all that stuff?
Yeah, you can go to our website, extension.illinois.edu/DMP.
Henry Kraft with University of Illinois Extension in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt counties. My guest in studio. More to come with Henry on the morning show.
WHOW.
Let's check the opening numbers now at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Monday. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network. We start the day in the red with corn, beans, and Chicago wheat. Make corn opening $4.58, down 3 1/4. July corn down 3 1/4, $4.65 3/4. December new crop 447 and a quarter, down 3. May beans starting the day, 1044 and 3/4, down 4. July beans down 3.5, 1054 and a half. And new crop November, 1028, down 2.5. May Chicago wheat, 525 and a quarter, down 1.25. July wheat, 540 and a half, down 2.5. And September wheat, 554 and a quarter, down 2.5. May bean meal, $2.90.20, that's unchanged. And May bean oil, $48 even, down $1.08. Opening numbers on this Monday morning. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network.
Baum Chevrolet Buick offers full transportation options while giving you peace of mind. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. This is what we do every day. We listen to you, give you options for routine maintenance, major mechanical problems, or collision repairs with a staff that's knowledgeable to find the best option for you. Baum Chevrolet Buick, your full-service dealer. See us at BaumChevyBuick.com right from the start.
Here's Clinton Save-A-Lot owner Dave Jackson on why you should shop his store.
I do check stores out of town on apps, on virtually everything we put on the shelves. So we make sure we're priced right. We sign things so people see. We try to just put it right there in front of you so you can help you decide, that we're being very fair.
Dave and his staff invite you to shop your locally owned Clinton Save-A-Lot every day to save up to 40% on your food bill. And as Dave always says,
Hope to see you soon.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, Henry Kraft with the University of Illinois Extension, my guest in studio here for this morning. And Henry, you were telling me that you've got some students in public speaking that have quite the accomplishment. What happened? What's going on?
Yeah, so it's funny, Seth. 4-H has multiple public speaking events, so I got to do our general one and help out with that. But we also have specifically a horse, our hippology public speaking event, which is just about horses.
Okay.
And so we have two phenomenal. Well, we got a whole group of phenomenal speakers in that group, but two in particular. So I want to give a special shout out for Stephanie Neeson, who made number 1 in the state for her formal speech in the senior class.
Okay.
And she did a phenomenal job. She also got top 5 in 2 other categories as well, which was phenomenal. So Dan Enos and those kids do a phenomenal job. Not to be forgotten is also Lexi Merriman. She made top 10 in individual senior speech category.
Okay.
So those two young ladies did a fantastic job, and we're just really proud of them.
So are you closely involved with that program?
So I, being the county agent or the educator, I'm at a mile-high view. Dan Enos is really doing a lot of the coaching on that.
Got it.
He's a phenomenal coach and took those.
Well, yeah,
those young
him and
ladies.
horses. I mean, gosh, there's not much he doesn't know about that world. So
and that's why we're so happy to have him just sharing that information, that knowledge with those young people.
Yeah, for sure. So very good. Well, when it comes to that competition, and I guess I shouldn't say that competition, but programs like that public speaking, like I think a lot for me, at least, I think 4-H, and I think, okay, everything is like, it all kind of leads up to 4-H fair, in July or whatever it is. But there are little kind of things like that go on throughout the course of the year. Can you speak to that a little bit, and how 4-H is more than just a culmination of leading up to the 4-H fair at the end of the year?
Yeah, honestly, Seth, we call that our pathways. So everything that we do at a local level is, there's our project related stuff, which really is prepping for the fair. But 4-H is the oldest youth development organization in the nation, in the world for that matter. And we are often in the schools doing educational type programs all the time. And so we are not only about building projects for the fair. That's a big part of who we are, and that's what we love. That's part of our bread and butter. But also going in and helping teachers do some of those hands-on learning type topics. And so so a lot of times the state offers programs that are kind of what we call state pathways. And so we train them up on the local level, and then they get to go and have experiences at, whether it's in Champaign or if there's suburbs of Chicago, or if it's all the way down south at Shawnee Community College, whatever it is, we've got competitions that kids can go and continue their learning or their competition.
Not necessarily competition based, but you were telling me there was a program you were recently involved in where they shipped kids all the way from the southern tip of Illinois up here for it. What was that all about?
So I have a colleague from way down south, very tip. There's a group of counties down there, and Christy Stout is the educator that is kind of in charge. She's my equivalent down there, and she has a group of leadership kids that she bussed all the way from the southern very tip of Illinois, almost Kentucky, all the way up to our 4-H Memorial Camp. And so I got to be with them and got to offer a session on drones or UAVs.
Oh, wow. That's cool. What was that all about? What'd you teach them about those things?
So drones in agriculture is actually that program. And I took a snippet out of that. And it was written towards the career development side of relevant technologies in agriculture surrounding drones and UAVs. And so in that program, we teach youth the mechanics of flight.
Okay.
We also teach them how to get their pilot's license for drones so that they can also go into some of the part-time jobs that are available in technology that a lot of times we don't think about when we connect them to agriculture. And so, for example, Dennis Bowman, who is Gail Bowman's husband, shout out to the Bowmans. He is our Illinois Extension tech guy around drones.
Oh, man,
and so
he knows it all.
He does. And he is just doing a phenomenal job. So we're teaching kids about those career pathways so they could take what they learn in 4-H and take it to the real world.
Yeah, for sure. That's amazing. That's amazing stuff. I got a couple of minutes yet still here with you, Henry. What have I not talked about that's been going on with you lately?
Yeah, so we actually, speaking of camp, we had a program with the Rotary Rotary groups where we had about 80 kids from all over the East Central region for Rotary who participated in a program called Rotary Youth Leadership Award. And so that is a opportunity. The award is the opportunity for kids to come and participate in career development and really college and career readiness. And so I offered a few programs on there's a personality inventory called Colors, True Colors. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before, but we take kids through that. It's all about learning who they are and what style that they bring to the world and interacting with others.
Gotcha.
I got to lead them on an ethics conversation, which, kind of sounds like a snooze, but it's actually really engaging and fun. And then we also did a personal branding exercise. So they got to learn about how to use social media to their greatest potential,
right?
And maybe some pitfalls to stay away from.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, that's great because social media can be such a pitfall, and even really hold people back in some regard. But there's such a benefit to it at the same time. So that's good stuff. Any other programs you've been out and about with?
Oh gosh, it's hard because like all last week I was like zombie mode. I was so busy. But yeah, no, I think those are the main ones. I also wrote a program on mindful eating. So it was a mindfulness exercise.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really great. My background is in mental health counseling. And so anytime I get to talk with people about, relaxation techniques or just how to calm their mind down, I love that as well. And so I'll offer that at RILA as well.
Yeah. So when it comes to like the summertime coming up, when schools are not in session, what keeps you busy?
Yeah, this year I'm going to be doing some writing. So when things start to slow down, which it feels like it just started ramping up again, we were talking about sports and all the other stuff going on. It's super busy, but I've got some writing that I'm going to be doing for programmatic, so work-related writing. So finishing up on a curriculum on tabletop gaming.
Yeah, there you go. That work. Yeah, curriculum work for sure. Very good. Hey, Henry, good to see you, man. Appreciate you coming out this morning.
Thanks, Seth. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Henry Kraft with University of Illinois Extension in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt counties. My guest in studio for this morning. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Network News is next.
WHOW.